that today. Moving on now to Kathy and Victoria. Kathy and Victoria, as you know, former President Obama formally recognised nuclear testing veterans. What additional support was given to veterans at that time by the US government? And what support was actually given to descendants, or is proposed to be given to descendants? Starting first with Kathy, if you're still there, Kathy.
Yes. As far as I know, there was put during President Obama's, at the end of his term, they put in the Veterans First Act a study to study the descendants or the offspring of toxic veterans, and included in that were irradiated veterans and their offspring. I have yet to find that program, although I've contacted senators and VAs and various toxic. I can't find the program. That was put into place. I read it in the documents. It's there in writing. I just can't find it to implement it. There's legislation going through now for the downwinders who have never been acknowledged as being fully affected, which would fall under indigenous population. They were US citizens who were affected horribly by the nuclear fallout from New Mexico and Nevada. They've been fighting just to be acknowledged and to be allowed to file as victims of nuclear fallout. Their descendants will probably reach some sort of a care program before the descendants of the atomic veterans. As far as I know, when I wrote to President Obama, it took about a few months before I got a reply, and I got a private number with the Washington, D.C. VA, and I handed it off to Victoria to call, and they couldn't do anything for her, which is still the case. There's nothing in place for atomic veterans' descendants other than that study program. And as we all know, people have been studied to death. We need action. We don't need any more study. The studies have been done. Since 1927, it's been established that ionizing radiation affects the genetics of all living creatures. Plant, bug, every living creature on the planet has a genetic reaction to ionizing radiation. So, yeah, in the US, we haven't had any support for the offspring.
Thanks, Kathy, that's really helpful. And I'd just say that in the UK, we're in an even worse situation, because we haven't even got a study going on into descendants, a formal government-backed study, which would have been the first step to at least starting to embark on a road towards making sure that descendants receive the support and kind of recognition that they deserve. Victoria, moving across to you, what would you like to see the US government do next, and where are you taking the US campaign next?
Well, God bless Kathy, she keeps all the data for us. We started Children of Atomic Veterans as a result of her outreach to Obama's going nowhere. And 3 years in, we realized a lot of the things that we wanted to do would also help the victims of ionizing radiation regardless of its source. So stillglowing.org was started because I thought I could get easier traction towards some of our goals. One, we would like to see a test kit, very much like they have for BRCA breast cancer. We don't have to redo the science is there, we just need to get the systems in place. And we're working with a couple of different groups. We're still, struggling upstream with it because we're a little hot potato. Some companies don't want to take on you know, what essentially they see as the government, and we see it as, you know, a market globally that needs help. So we are talking to a couple different people to try and get those moved along. Kathy's working with a group right now. We're trying to get some screening done. We're going to be using the art and now the new NFT space to try and raise funds. The Marshallese and that indigenous community, I grew up knowing about them and loving them from afar. I know I have a family there. I'm in a relationship with them now through this activism. And so one of the goals is going to be to try for these indigenous communities that may not have the funds for particular cancer scan diagnostics. We're going to try to be working with raising money through NFTs, where if you buy an NFT, it provides a scan for someone, and start trying to use and leverage this and raise awareness through the art and hit it in a way where people haven't seen it before. Put it in their face in places that I can't. This is, you know, that's my craft, and I'm 350 paintings in. I've got work in the Smithsonian prior, now the Atomic Smithsonian Museum here in the US. But it's a way to leverage and raise awareness. My family, I was told at 12 I was under a 50-year Q clearance that inherited from my dad because I was this atomic child. They had to remove his penis by the time I was 19. His story is documented. I was abandoned by our government at 21. And my story, while I thought was unique, all our stories are somewhat unique, but the thread is the same that ties them all together. And I'm so blessed for this global community because I think with all of us, we're going to be able to help raise the awareness faster. And fortunately, I'm still here to tell some stories, so I feel on an accelerated path to try to get some of them out because I've been given a chance to continue to do it now twice. And so that's my dedication. It's only going to go where we take it, because the governments, all of them, don't want to take it anymore.
Oh, thanks so much, Victoria. Really appreciate that. Lovely